We actually sat together tonight and crocheted them together, and yes, we are absolutely flippin' adorable. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Shannon. This is Made by Boo, and it's been a couple weeks. If you have been around for a little while, you probably know that I've been on a new schedule the last little bit of podcasty kind of video, vloggy video, podcasty video rest, and I should have had a vloggy video last week. I did not. I am still planning on doing one for March, but I'm going to do it next weekend instead. I'll get into more of the whys of everything when I get into life, but I don't have a ton of projects that got a lot of work this time around, but I do have 2 finished objects of my own, one of my daughter's, and a few works in progress that did get some work, even if it wasn't a ton. So let me just go ahead and dive in on finished objects. So the first finished object I have, these are a little bit damp because I'm trying to block them. I haven't been showing them as I worked on it. I think I showed them, I might not have shown them since Vlogmas, but these are a pair of socks that I knitted for my daughter. It is using knitted wit sock yarn in the colorway Crater Lake National Park. I started knitting them back in December because my middle child is learning how to drive, and working on something while driving with her helps me kind of stay calm and collected. It gives me something to do so I don't accidentally reach out and hold on to something. She's a good driver. I'm just not a good passenger. And so we started working on these. We called them her driving socks, and the goal was for her to be able to wear them when she goes to take her driver's test. They are done before that. She's not taking her driver's test quite yet. She wants to get a little more practice in first. And yeah, these are her socks. They're a little damp because I went ahead and started blocking them today because then she'd be able to have them right away. She's getting ready to go on a school trip, and that way if she wanted her new driving socks for a traveling time, she would have them. So yeah, that is my first finished object. And speaking of same child, that leads me into my second finished object. So this is one of my finished objects and one of hers. My finished object is this. This is a Woobles pattern, but not a Woobles kit. It is their mini dinosaur, the Wee Rex. I thought it was Woobles rainbow yarn, but I guess it's off-brand Woobles rainbow yarn. I don't know. It works out the same. And then these are just some leftovers from some other projects. And this is the little Wee Rex that I made. And this is the actual Wee Rex kit. She made this one. And we made them for each other so that when she goes on her trip, I will have mine and she will have hers. And that's part of how we can kind of check in and see, when she's away. She's not tiny, but it is a nice little thing, reminder she's alive. So in the past, when she's gone on a trip for school, we sent each other pictures of our meals just as a check-in every day. But this time we're also going to have little friends that can share their adventures. We actually sat together tonight and crocheted them together. And yes, we are absolutely flippin' adorable. But so are they. So these are the ones that are made. I am going to make 2 more rainbow ones because I have 3 children. And of course, if one gets something cool, even if it is partially for the trip, why not have all of them have a nice little set? So we'll each have our own little tiny dinosaurs, and I love that the pattern is called a Wee Rex. Each of my daughters are going to have different spikes. I don't know if I'll end up showing the other dinosaurs as I finish them because this took like an hour. They're super simple projects. But yeah, these are the 2 tiny Wee Rexes. We have not totally named them all because they can't all have the same name, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. So that is my only finished objects. As I vaguely mentioned earlier, I didn't work as much on my projects these last couple of weeks as I might have otherwise. I do have 4 additional works in progress sitting here by me. I did do a little bit of spinning over the last couple weeks. I had just a little short of me spinning it. I'm not showing it today. I don't have a finished spool. And the fiber and the spool, it's all set up on my spinning cart. That's just a little bit too difficult to take it to show a partial spool. So I will show that one when the spool is finished. But for right now, we will go ahead and start with one of the simplest ones. This is a sock. I haven't been showing a lot of socks this year. I'm starting to get a little bit of a desire to make socks again, but I definitely burnt out at the end of December. And then the only pair of socks I've really been working on since then were my daughter's driving socks. And then I had this pair just kind of as a little backup. So these are... Sorry, my bag just fell, dropping everything. So these are Cozy. Yeah, the Cozy Knitter. This is the 2025 Advent socks. So if you have not seen these yet, I don't know if you've even heard of them. This is the second pair. I did make the first pair during Advent. This is the second pair I am making for my mother. I have done that the last 2 years. This will be the third year. The cuff, heels, and toes are just going to be some scrap Cascade Heritage yarn I had. So I started working on these a little bit today. Ooh, some of my stitches were not great because we were at a movie and this is what I had that was good movie knitting. I do kind of want to work on socks some more. I have some ideas for like some shorty socks or maybe some taller ones, but in my mind it's shorty socks using some scrap yarn and I just haven't. I'm not sure where in my rotation another pair of socks is currently going to fit, but right now these socks are just kind of taking my movie knitting, not entirely travel knitting, but movie knitting. I took a pair out. I took the other sock. I only have one sock here, and I started working on the heel on the other one. There just wasn't a lot of progress on the other one, and they're in 2 separate bags. So yeah, I went from there all the way up to here. I've got, I think, 3 more colors until I hit the heel on this one. And I'm just doing a heel flap and gusset. Then I'll work the foot and the toe, and I will have a pair of socks to give my mother. So yeah, that is my first work in progress. My second work in progress right now, you have seen before as well. This is my, that is just the vanilla socks pattern. It's not any pattern that I get from anyone. It's just kind of my own formula. I've been making my own vanilla socks long enough. I don't really use a pattern for them anymore. So this one is somebody's pattern. This is the Quadrophenia by K. Jones. I'm really bad at pattern names and designer names, so I always want to double check. Yes, K. Jones. So this is Quadrophenia by K. Jones. The yarn is the 2025 Advent Calendar from Ruby and Roses, and this is my third triangle. I've been trying to keep on a schedule of about 3 colors every 2 weeks, which would have me finished with this blanket by the end-ish of April. I only say end-ish because that would technically have me finishing the knitting of the triangles by the end of April, not counting seaming it. And I know some people have done like I've actually not totally read the whole pattern to see if there's supposed to be a border. I don't know if I'm planning on doing like an I-cord border or anything. I don't always put borders on blankets. But yeah, I am halfway through my third of 4 triangles. I do need to still block my second triangle. I might try to do that tomorrow, maybe. We'll see how the day goes. But yeah, super simple. Just the triangle going. This has been my travel project. So I wasn't sure I was going to get all 3 colors in the last 2 weeks just because of the way everything was going. But I did manage to finish the third color this morning. And the second color I only finished on Wednesday. So I was like really, really far behind for keeping up with that every 2 weeks. It is a self-imposed deadline. I know I don't have to pay attention to it. But I still wanted to pay attention to it. So I was still working on it. And I hit the goal that I wanted to. So I am happy about that. I did not hit a goal with all projects. There's definitely some projects that I showed 2 weeks ago that you will not be seeing today because they didn't get much of any work. But that one hit its goal amount. All right, so only 2 more projects to talk about. The next one I'll talk about will just be the slightly simpler one. This is my little amigurumi basket I've been working in lately. So I got to move extra stuff out because this is more of the yarn from the Wee Rex. I have been working on a Woobles kit for one of my brothers. The goal is to have this done by the beginning of April because I am going to go see him. There's 6 pieces. I have completed 4. And I have been working on number 5, which is a tiny Batman. I had hoped to have him finished today. It just didn't happen. So he only needs a little bit left. I think it's ears, arms, and a cape. So I will get him finished soon. And then the last one I have to do is the Joker. So, I mean, he's just kind of a bat egg right now versus a Batman. But he's getting there. He will get done. He's not exactly an exciting thing with a lot to talk about at his weird egg-shapedness. But I know my brother's going to like it. So the last work in progress I have right now, I did not pull these out. So this is, I have to double check designers again. What I will be showing you is the Twisted T-shirt by Emily Curtis. And I am making it, my main color is Ruby and Roses in the color Reputation. And then I'm going to have, if you've seen the color tip tee, you know it has like different colors at the collar, like all the ribbing is all different color details. I am using the 6 mini set from Fangirl Fibers. So when I last showed it to you, I had joined under the arms and I was right up here. I worked down until that first skein of yarn ran out. And I am now on my second skein of the Reputation yarn. I got 1 sleeve and 1 ribbing. I had hoped to be a little farther than this. I wanted to have both sleeves and the collar done by now. But as you can see, it didn't happen. So I'm probably going to cast on the second sleeve tomorrow. I'm not too fussed about how fast I work on it. I don't have like a deadline on it. But I'm going to do a light purple over here, and then I have 2 other shades of purple for the collar and the bottom ribbing. I'm still not 100% sure if I'm going to bother doing a pocket. I do need to kind of decide that before I finish doing all of my ribbing, because the 6 mini skein set did have 6 colors in it, but it had 4 shades of purple, a yellow, and a black. And I don't really think the black would make sense, and I don't think I really want that pop of yellow right there. So, I don't know. I'm kind of just leaning towards not even worrying about the pocket, because I think it might just, I don't wear a lot of shirts with pockets anyways. But yeah, that's how far that is. It's not very exciting yet. I'm really excited by it. It's got the sparkle. I think the purple pops are going to be good. You can't really see it well in this light, but it does have little undertones of red and green, so it's going to have a lot going on for a plain black t-shirt, and I'm really excited about that. So that is all of my finished objects and works in progress. As I said, there is a couple that I'm not showing today, which does kind of lead into talking about my goals, at least to a point. So I had some very limited goals for the year. Some of them have just kind of been more of going on vibes versus specific, like overreaching goals. Like I am just kind of in a mood to make things that I can wear. And I do love a blanket. I do tend to make at least, I want to say 2 or 3 blankets lately from advent calendars. I'm working on one. And then the other 2 kind of goals I had was to work as much as possible from stash and buy less yarn, which I feel like I'm doing well. I have bought yarn this year, but so far I've been mostly evening out. At least I'm not excessively adding to my yarn stash more than I'm using. So like I did purchase 6 skeins of yarn last month that were specific for a project, but I haven't completed that project yet. So I mean, it's definitely a work in progress. And then the other one, which does somewhat affect using yarn from stash, was the goal to use scraps. And I was working on 2 different blankets using scraps, and 1 sweater now is sitting there with most of its granny squares done. And I got almost no work done on my granny stripe blanket. I did get a little bit of work done on my coziest memory, but I mean, the squares seem to take me so long. I could show it to you every single time I film, and it would not look that much different. And then I have not done anything else on my Jethro sweater. I have all those squares done. I was planning on working a lot more on my granny stripe, and it just wasn't how the week turned out. So that one, this last couple weeks, having a scrap project going at all times was probably not necessarily a very successful goal. But technically, I am still working on socks that use scraps. And those projects are still going. They just didn't have the best week ever. So we'll just keep slogging along. They're going to get finished. So yeah, that's goals for the year. Is not really a lot to say. Life, maybe just a titch more to say. So, over the last couple of weeks, so when I last filmed, on the day I filmed, I don't really remember much that happened that day. Everything was pretty normal. I usually film on a Sunday and then it uploads on a Tuesday. I'm actually filming on a Saturday night just because my daughter's going out of town, and so this is just when it fit in better. So I filmed on a Sunday. It went up on a Tuesday. On that Tuesday night, that's what happened that Tuesday. Sorry, my brain just blanked out. So that Tuesday, I was at work and I fell. So if you haven't been around here for a little while, I don't talk about my work very often for a lot of reasons, but I do work with children, and specifically I do work with children with autism who are working on specific behaviors, and some of those behaviors have to do with running from the areas they're supposed to be in. I was in a room, I was working specifically with one child, but with my job I technically oversee several people working with several children. And it was not the child I was actually working with at the time, but I could kind of see this kiddo. They were a little eye in the door. I kind of had a feeling they were going to run. The person they were working with was not really in a position to do much about it in the moment, but I could kind of see they were going to run. I was trying not to encourage them to run, but when they did, I was just the one person who could run after them, and so they went out the door, and I went sprinting down the hall after them to make sure that they came back to where they were supposed to be and stayed safe. On the way, I was wearing very comfortable boots that day, which I don't always wear. I usually have nice, comfortable shoes that I could run in, but not this day. And I slipped going down the hall, flat on my face. It was decently hard. The poor kid actually stopped and watched me fall, and when I got up, they just kind of smiled and kept going, because I guess they just figured I got up, I was fine. Sorry. And I was technically fine, but I am 43 years old and slipped and fell. Not quite flat on my face, like I didn't hit my face, which is good. But you can't really have a high-speed fall at 43 without being at least a little bit hurt. So I got up, got them back, continued on. Was a little sore in the moment, and it was like, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Couple hours later, it was still hurting. So, long story short, I didn't have to go to the doctor. Nothing was actually like broken or anything. It was mostly just bruises, soreness, and definitely some ego bruising. So after that, I still have bruises all over my knee, have bruises on a hip, but I also had a lot of soreness right here. It's still a little tender, but for at least a couple of days, I could not really work on anything. It hurt to grip anything. Now it mostly just is a little achy if I move it wrong. So yeah, I was very lucky that I didn't hurt anything more. There was actually like a gigantic pole in the hallway near where I fell where I could have really hurt myself. Didn't have to miss any work, but I was sore for a little bit, and it affected what I was able to work on. And then after that, as I started feeling better, I ended up taking my daughter to urgent care one night. And she was also fine. It was just a ear pain thing. And that night, my husband was making meatloaf. And while I'm dealing with my daughter at the urgent care and getting her the medication she needed, and he was talking to me, and the meatloaf was not cooking, the meatloaf was not cooking, and the meatloaf was not cooking, and for no reason we think that meatloaf was cursed. That's the only explanation, because it never did actually cook. There was something with that meat. We did not eat it, obviously. It wouldn't end up cooking in the oven, and by the time I got home, the handle on the oven had started to fall off, and this is 2 days after I fell, so I'm still in a decent amount of pain. My husband and I go to just try to finish dealing with this meatloaf, so that we can let the oven cool down so that we can fix the oven door handle. And instead, the oven door handle decides to fall off completely and shatter, so we can't put it back on. So we ordered a new oven handle. 2 days, the oven was just out of commission. The cursed meatloaf, we did what we could to try to save it. We ended up getting rid of it because we decided it wasn't worth the risk. Couple of days later, we order a new oven handle. It gets in. We go to put it on, use the oven to cook dinner that night. But there had been a little bit of drippings from the cursed meatloaf. And so we go to, as soon as dinner is done, we're putting on the cleaning cycle because it had been a little while. And it was like, yeah, there's just a couple drippings. It needs to be cleaned anyways. Let's just go ahead and clean it. Yeah, apparently that cursed meatloaf hadn't put just a couple of drippings. The cleaning cycle had been on for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, just long enough to get real hot. And we're setting the table for dinner. It was that close to when I had taken dinner out. And I look over, and inside our locked cleaning cycle oven is a fire. And so I'm just like, the oven's on fire. And my husband, of course, comes rushing over. The kids, luckily, they all just kind of get out of the way. We managed to get the oven door open, and my husband's starting to try to air blow it out, and I'm like, grease fire. Reach around, grab some salt, and just throw tons of salt in there. The fire goes out. Everything is fine. But we have not used our oven since then because it was completely filled with salt, and clearly the grease was a little bit bad. And so it was like, okay, well, we need a different kind of oven cleaning. We hadn't been able to do that. We finally found the correct oven cleaner today, so it still hasn't been cleaned. And yeah, through all of this, we're trying to figure out how to fix the oven, get all of that done. And my knee is literally an entire bruise. So me trying to bend over and kneel down to do anything is absolute misery. So yeah, it's been a couple weeks. That's why I didn't vlog last weekend, because after the fall and the fire, it was just one of those, just I just needed to rest. And so I just lounged about and did nonsense. I worked on my projects as much as I was able to. That's when I did a little bit of spinning, and I just tried to veg out. My plan had been to work in the garden. I just ordered some bricks to build up new garden beds, but that was just a not right now kind of thing. So yeah, that has been the last couple weeks, and that is why the vlog didn't come out yet. And I'm planning on doing that next weekend instead. So, yeah, it's been a bit of an eventful couple of weeks. It wasn't all bad, of course. I did, in spite of being a little bit sore, I was still able to work. Nothing was broken. Nothing was bruised. Even taking my child to urgent care, it was just, minor treatment, over-the-counter stuff. Everything's fine. Fire in the oven. The oven is not ruined. It was put out very quickly. The house is still standing. Everything is nice. It was just, we have to scrub it out instead of self-cleaning. And honestly, it'll probably be a little while until I trust a self-cleaning cycle. And then we had little other bits of fun. I was able to get my projects done. I feel like I had so many other things. Today we did go to the movies. They were showing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze from, I believe it was the 90s. And I loved those movies as a kid, and it's one of those where it's like they're not actually as bad compared to now as so many other movies have. They haven't aged as poorly as they could have, which is not saying a lot, but it is what it is. And yeah, it's tomorrow. I'm going to keep working on my projects, filming a little earlier than usual just because of the way the weekend is going to go. This was when it would fit in. And then, yeah, normal work week next week. I should be vlogging next weekend. And hopefully the weather will hold out. And when I'm vlogging next weekend, you can kind of come along with me as we work in the garden. Of course, since I can't bake anything in my oven for a little while, or haven't been able to for a little while, all I want to do is bake something right now. So hopefully by next weekend I will be able to, and I will trust my oven again. Yeah, it was a little terrifying. Luckily we have microwave stovetop black stone out in the yard, and the weather has been nice enough. We have been able to use it. Instant pot, air fryer. Like, luckily we are at a time where the oven is not our only option, but I'm not exactly a fan of fires happening in my house without my permission. So I feel like that's a reasonable boundary to have, of no fires without my permission. But that is all that I have for today. Hopefully next weekend it will be eventful enough to be interesting, but no injuries or fires. That is all I have for today. Thank you all for listening to me babble about what has happened to me the last couple of weeks. I think it's sad that I didn't make as much progress or touch all the projects like I wanted to, but sometimes survival is all you have, and hopefully that is how you guys are all. Hopefully you guys are doing better than surviving right now. That's all. I'm definitely in babble mode. Have a wonderful time of day you're in, and until we see each other again, have a very happy making.